Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday.
We found a strange package of marshmallows this summer, and it was actually earlier while we were taking a trip away from town and we were at Alberta Beach. Just found it in a convenience store. Never got into it on that trip, but made it out to Gregoire Lake over the weekend just to visit some friends who were camping, so we hung around the fire, brought those marshmallows. Now they are barbecue shaped, and they smell nothing like barbecue, but a lot like the dehydrated cereal shapes from Lucky Charms. Not like a regular marshmallow, but like those ones, maybe the hot chocolate kind. No hearts or blue moons, but there were 5 different shapes, and they were much bigger in size, including cob of corn, some form of fish, a very questionably shaped and colored smoky. I'll let that one just enter your imagination for a moment. There's also some form of shrimp or prawn and a squid. You know, just what every barbecue needs. And they all have little faces on them, too, which makes it just perfect. They come on sticks, just like wooden, big toothpicks, ready for roasting. But the problem is that they seem like they kind of want you to put them on the grill. Like, that's every impression from the packaging. It's like, oh, well, look at these. You can put them right on the grill. But they're never coming back off of the grill. They're marshmallows. It's meant to roast like a regular one, but because they're formed into these shapes, like I guess like the skin of them, it resisted the fire a little bit, and the inside melted, but the outside did not. So it was like wrinkling and bubbling and swelling up like something out of John Carpenter's The Thing. Disgusting. Flavor rating on the s'mores we made out of them? Like a 6. Just get the regular ones. Take a penny, leave a penny. This is not a penny, actually, though it's kind of looking like one. New Royal Canadian minted coin that's really probably not going to end up in circulation. Is kind of coppery looking, especially around the outside. There's also a maple leaf on the inside of the face of it, or I guess that would be the tails, because the face has King Charles III on it. The face value of this legal tender is $20. So like to spend it in Canada, $20 for a penny. Weird direction. We got rid of all of our pennies so long ago. I wouldn't even imagine anybody has a jar that's worth $20 worth of pennies anymore. Like, they're just a bygone thing. But this one, again, not intended to be in circulation. We're really not going to be spending this. It's a collector's item, and it is silver, like fine argent pure fine silver, 1 ounce of it. Got the purity standard of 9999 engraved on it and everything. The coin collectors and enthusiasts aficionados will already be drooling over this sucker. But $20, yeah, that's what I said it's worth. But it's not worth $20. It's actually going to cost you $175 to buy one, and probably a whole lot more than that once the limited run of only 8,500 gets grabbed up. Still weird to see a king on the coins, though. That's just tripping my brain up, man.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
Starting off with Alice Cooper campaigning to appear on The Simpsons. That feels like something that should have happened already. Well, maybe in another universe it has, but he does want to voice a character on The Simpsons. He says that he actually gained a whole lot of fans back in the day because of showing up on The Muppet Show once, so he says, why not? Why not? He did an interview with the Grammys and says that on the animated series, any character would do. Of course, getting to play himself would probably be a treat as well. He has already, of course, been across the street and has shown up on Family Guy. But besides that, in the news, very strange story about, I don't know if you remember, the viral band, the Long Johns. They were just the face of sea shanties on the internet for a while, and they've now been tapped to make the official Pokemon anthem for 2025 at Pokemon Worlds. And that is taking place this coming weekend in California, apparently. I have no idea about what that means. Machine Gun Kelly in the news because he's talking about how he thinks he might be an alien. Says he doesn't know if he has an age, and he also has asked his mother, quote, at any period, have you gone missing off of the earth? No, Machine Gun Kelly, you're not an alien. You're just an idiot. That's it for your music news headlines this morning. A Fort Mac talent. There was a movie that came out a few years ago called Influencer, a bit of a indie budget level movie that came out on Shudder on streaming. It's there available now. It was really good. I really loved it. But Cassandra Naud is the star, and she is from Fort McMurray. Got a lot of family here and everything. Some people will recognize the name. She's incredibly talented. I remember when I first met her, I was asked to come and judge a dancing competition, which I have no basis to be doing that. That's not a wheelhouse that I have. I've watched a lot of So You Think You Can Dance, sure. But I mean, she was the real talent, the real star. She stole the competition and then actually went on to be on So You Think You Can Dance Canada. And beyond that, just has really blossomed into a really talented person. And Influencer was great. Now the sequel to it, Influencers, it's got 100% on the Rotten Tomato meter, as it's just getting its first reviews. Had its premiere in Montreal not that long ago, and I cannot wait to get a release date so I can actually watch this sucker, but no word on that yet. Just know that this is going to be a good one, according to all the reviews that have come in so far. Big congratulations. That's awesome, Cassandra.
Tuesday.
We've got Tinder leave now in the world. This is now a thing. And let's be clear, it's not a big thing. It's not all-encompassing, and a whole bunch of different companies, corporations, and small businesses are adopting this, but it's exactly what you might think. There is a marketing firm, Go Figure, out of Thailand, who is championing the idea of a Tinder leave, and that would be so that people can make that human connection while they might otherwise be having to be cooped up in the office or working on a project or presentation, So I don't know if it's hateable on every level. Some people will never get behind an idea like this. It also feels like something made for internet bucks and not so much for the actual people that are working there. But hey, they can do them and other people while on the job, apparently. Whether that means, I don't know, what does that change the different settings on what you're looking for on the dating app from just one lunch hour to a whole season's worth of lunch hours at least? I don't know. Dating online seems weird to me, and adding in during work hours just makes it just more complicated, does it not? There's still some conjecture coming from Metallica about what they might be doing in the future, and that includes ideation about that big sphere in Las Vegas and a residency at it. There's Robert Trujillo in the news talking about possibilities being endless. Sky really being the limit, despite it being an enclosed sphere. Really talking about how there's no heavy rock band that has ever done it. They say it's hopefully going to happen soon. Of course, no official announcement about it. Clearly, it's in serious discussion. But yeah, it's really true. No one as heavy as Metallica has taken up residency in that spot, and it could be a very unique experience. Chris Hemsworth, a pretty face we know on movie screens, but not so much known for his musical skill. And in fact, it turns out as he was getting ready to do a bit with Ed Sheeran, he's going to guest spot and try and drum. He had a absolutely terrible first lesson. I guess he's got some strengths. He's got some things he can rely on. He's got some muscles to back all that up. But the coordination therein to actually put that into rhythm and percussion, apparently not so much. It's actually nice to know that the man has some sort of limitations. A new app has got people thinking about selling tickets to their wedding. Hold on a minute here. That's an awkward thing. First of all, it's not for the invited guests. Okay. Whew. I was going to say that's ludicrous, because if somebody said, hey, you're invited to our wedding, $200 to attend, I'd be like, well, have fun. But if there's a little extra room, a bonus table or two after all of the friends and family and people invited out of awkward social obligation have been figured out, then I guess why not? It's not going to be something that everybody thinks is a great idea, but some, maybe some extroverted types might be like, well, the more the merrier. It's never going to offset the actual costs of a wedding in a meaningful way. You'd have to have more paid ticketed guests than invited ones to do that. But it can, I think, make the difference between splurging on a certain something. Make flower arrangements, maybe the food, right? The catering for the evening. Maybe it's the difference between a toonie and an open bar. I don't know. Depends. Maybe now there's a candy bar or a poutine bar that shows up at midnight. That's always fun. Big boost to everybody's dancing ability, a big rally. But I gotta say, slippery slope. Because you don't just want anybody joining for your wedding, so I think that there has to be some pretty strict vetting that goes on. You gotta be able to check somebody's account, check their profile ahead of time. But it is an app, so maybe that's what they're thinking about. It's something to consider anyway, especially with the rising costs of weddings. Here, the numbers go up just about every single year. 30,000 here, 50,000 there. Yeah, you might want a few $100 tickets being sold to just to make you feel a little bit less insane about it.
Wednesday.
You know what? There wasn't too much Taylor Swift on my timeline yesterday. Yeah, I wasn't glued to the phone or anything, but anytime I was surfing around, scrolling, there wasn't really a ton. There was just some, and that seemed like a normal amount. And some of what I was seeing was people really complaining about how much they were anticipating to see Taylor Swift stuff on their timelines, and I don't think it really came that true. Of course, there are the diehard fans who were super thrilled to learn that there is going to be another album, her 10th, coming out, I guess titled The Life of a Showgirl. At some point in the future, maybe this year, I don't know. Really, that's the part where I am seeing some of the claws come out from the fans. Because I've seen people say, well, the date, October 13th, that's the date. And then I've also seen people jumping in going, actually, which is something you don't really think of for like Taylor Swift fans. You think of that for like, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings nerds like me and, Game of Thrones people, actually. But no, they're going, hey, actually, Taylor's album doesn't have a release date yet. They just have announced there's a shipping date for the vinyl, and that's an estimate. Okay, all right, we can settle down about it. But hey, glad that the fans are excited. Glad that the people who, for some reason, will let seeing Taylor Swift on their timeline ruin their day, maybe didn't have it so ruined yesterday. Everyone's happy. Joe Perry's got some bad news for Aerosmith fans that were hopeful to see them live as they were doing their Peace Out tour. Had a lot of dates in mind, and then they had to cut things short after only 3 shows. Steven Tyler suffering a vocal cord injury at the time. But now Joe Perry, after talking on the radio, public radio, I believe, down in Boston, he did an interview talking about the possibility of new performances, and he says that unfortunately Steven Tyler both cannot and doesn't want to tour. However, he did soften the blow, saying there is probably another show in them at least, but no confirmation of that. Chrissy Hynde has put together a new album of duets that's featuring a whole host of different artists, including Debbie Harry, Brandon Flowers, and more. And it's called Always on My Mind. Rufus Wainwright joining for that, and as well happening to be behind the scenes on the production of things as well. It's going to be arriving October 17th from Parlophone, and of course is available for pre-ordering right now. And lyrics to Fleetwood Mac songs handwritten by Peter Green are part of an auction. In other news, predicted to reach about £15,000 as it does reach auction alongside a ton of other things at Eubanks later on this week. It's a huge whole host of money for somebody's scribbled notes, but it's got a lot of meaning for fans of Fleetwood Mac from way back. AOL is ending its dial-up service. People have been having nostalgia flashbacks as a result, the relic of early internet, and something that I'll never be able to rid my brain of the exact sound of. And that is bizarre to me to think that there are still people to this day that have to hear that awful dial-up connection sound. You know the one if you know the one. And it would be like click out. And then if it hadn't connected yet, it would go back to the oh God, it's so bad. The original internet, it tried to warn us with that screeching, but we didn't listen.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.